Maybe I should do that. Good morning, and welcome back to our Coffee and Sports in the Morning. My name is the NFL Genius, Gene Walzak. And to my right, I got the man that knows better. It's Mo Better. Good morning, Mo.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat.
I was a little bit off this morning after the 76ers 40-point loss to the San Antonio Spurs yesterday. Things just don't seem the way they should for me this morning. So maybe I should take a sip of my coffee, and I'll remember to put us live next time.
Now you good. That was a tough game for the Sixers. They were shorthanded to start the game out, and the Spurs just jumped on them early.
But isn't that the story of every Sixers game? I mean, Joel Embiid plays less than 50% of the games. Paul George is out with, a PED suspension. Barlow gets hurt in the first quarter, and they lose to a Spurs team at home, by the way, by 40. Now, the problem that I run into with this 76ers team, and maybe I'm just talking, just because I'm a Sixers fan, but the problem I run into with this 76ers team, Mo, is this team traded Jarrett McCain for nothing because they wanted to get under, and I think, I'm just giving my personal opinion, I think that changed the course of this team's season. They were rolling. People were watching out for the 76ers. They were doing a lot to start to win games. And when that McCain trade happened, everybody, Maxey, Embiid, all of them said, please just pay the little bit of luxury tax you have to pay, but don't break up this. We have something special here. And as soon as he's left, they've lost 4 games by 30 points or more in a span of 1 month. Do you not find that to be an issue internally? Meanwhile, we watched Jarrett McCain playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, dropping 20 points again last night.
Look, it was a terrible trade to begin with, but on the flip side, it's Sam Presti being Sam Presti, making a great trade for the Thunder. McCain, he stepped right into their rotation. They already had a deep rotation. He actually stepped in and moved somebody out of the rotation because he's played so well for them. I think it definitely impacted them on the court, but I think it impacted them more on the locker room, where there's a lack of trust between the players and management, because I think Jarrett McCain meant something to the guys in the locker room. There was a bond there. I thought McCain was going to be part of that younger core with Maxey and Edgecombe, that next wave, and they moved off of him way too soon because they didn't want to pay a little bit of money.
Correct. And, last night you watched that Thunder Bulls game, and, Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso, all those guys played good minutes for the Thunder, but the leading scorer for the Thunder last night was none other than Jarrett McCain, who scored more points than Chet and more points than the rest of the Thunder team. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso. He goes in there and scores 20 points. The guy that was, and the part I think that rubs Philadelphia fans the worst, Mo, is Daryl Morey going into the media unprovoked, saying, we sold him at his ceiling. That is disrespectful to say to begin with. You don't say that about one year. We really like Jarrett, but we need a little bit more flexibility and getting a first-round draft back for him. It allows us to really, I can write the speech for you. But to say we sold him at his ceiling is telling you, everybody else in the whole league, that you don't think he's good enough. That's disrespectful. And that tells everybody in that locker room that Daryl Morey could just sell you and tell you how and trash you in the media. And you wonder why this team has been on a tailspin since then. It's a joke.
That's a great point. Daryl Morey, there's a huge disconnect between he and the players, and there's a lack of trust. I think that directly impacted their season. And how can you say you sold him at his ceiling? He's in year 2. He's in year 2, and he's still a young player. it's not like, and look, I think Oklahoma City has a great system that any player can fit into, but he stepped right in to a very deep rotation and carved out his own role immediately. He's far from reached his ceiling. That's crazy talk.
I completely agree with you. These are the last, and I just bring this up because the last 9 games for the 76ers, they lost to the Portland Trail. This is after the trade. They lost to the Portland Trailblazers by 17 in a game that wasn't even that close. They were down 30 in that game. They cut it to 17 in the fourth quarter. They lost to the Knicks by 40 at home. They lost to the Hawks by 10. They lost to the Pelicans by 15. Then they beat the Timberwolves, which I don't know what the hell happened in that game. They beat the Pacers. They beat the Heat, which, maybe they're turning it around. Then they respond and lose to the Celtics by 16 and the Spurs by 40. There's a deep, and as yesterday after the game, they asked Tyrese Maxey about the Jarrett McCain trade. And Tyrese Maxey, I'm gonna get you the exact quote because I'd rather not screw it up. Tyrese Maxey shares blunt reality on Jarrett McCain after blowout loss. I don't think we're dwelling on it, Maxey told reporters. Jarrett was a close friend of ours, great teammate, great person. I definitely think we miss him, of course. I ain't going to lie and say I don't miss Jarrett. I'm happy for him. I watch OKC, and I hope he does well every single night he plays, except when he plays us, of course.
Right.
That's a teammate that's telling you you shouldn't have traded him. That's your franchise player. And by the way, Maxey's up for an extension soon. Could you imagine if they lost Tyrese Maxey? Like, what are we doing?
I would say they should find every way in their power not to lose him, but I'm not the biggest Daryl Morey fan. I think he makes more bad moves than good. What I don't understand is you acquire talent, you want to develop the talent. That's important, but relationships are important too. Trust is important too. Maxey is your future. Look, I'm the first to say that I don't think Embiid is their future, even though he's kind of in a weird purgatory where when he plays, he shows you he can still be an all NBA player. The only problem is he doesn't play enough to where you can trust him to be one of your 3 main players. So it's got to be about Maxey. And if it's about Maxey, I don't think Maxey trusts Daryl Morey.
No, he doesn't at all. And I'll tell you right now, if Tyrese Maxey went to ownership and said, I don't want Daryl Morey here, I'd fire him immediately. Listen, I'm not all about giving players carte blanche. I'm not that type of guy. I would give Maxey complete carte blanche. Complete.
Oh, 100%. Look, he's to me, some people think he's like right outside the top 10. I think you can make a case Maxey's a top 10 player right now.
Let's talk about another team that I guess they had struggles the other night. Last night they didn't look good either, and they won. So let's be very clear there. But I want to talk about the sideline altercation between Luka and JJ Redick. And JJ says that it's normal. That's a normal thing. I don't buy that. Mo, you've been around the NBA for a long time. You've watched the NBA for a long time. Would you consider what happened between JJ Redick and Luka Doncic normal?
No, I don't think it's normal at all. I will say, let me put a caveat on that. It is normal for Luka. I've seen Luka do the same thing, have the same interactions with a guy like Rick Carlisle, who is a much more respected coach than JJ Redick or even Jason Kidd. Luka can run hot at times because I don't know if he handles criticism that well. So it's not normal, but it's not the first time he's done that either. The real question is this: you just brought it up. You're not about stars having all the power in the world, but the Lakers are in a very awkward situation. If Luka says, I'm not feeling JJ's system or the way he coaches or the way he treats me, whatever the case may be, JJ Redick's going to get fired. That's the kind of power that I think Luka wields right now in the Lakers world.
Do you think JJ Redick is a good coach?
I actually do. I actually think JJ Redick's a really good coach. It's weird because JJ preaches a lot about the new era of the NBA and where the game has evolved, but he actually has an old school coach mentality. He's a really good coach, and he holds players accountable, which is kind of a rare thing in today's NBA. I'm not sure his in your face, holds you to the fire kind of coaching is meant for today's basketball or today's player. I guess the jury's still out, but I'm for sure it doesn't work on a guy like Luka.
I actually like JJ. I think he's a very good coach. But I watched that Lakers game last night versus the Pelicans, and that looked like the most uninspiring 9-point win I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you want to talk about two teams. Mo, all I ask anyone to do is go back and watch the second quarter of that basketball game. I mean, that was atrocious basketball. Bad shots, Ayton bouncing balls off his foot. The Pelicans threw 4 or 5 balls into the stands. I haven't seen so many souvenir balls getting sent out to the stands since watching baseball. It reminds me pitchers and catchers are back. They threw, I think it was like 4 straight possessions. They threw a ball into the stands, the Pelicans. And for the Lakers to only win that game by 9 points, and I'm not saying, look, they're an NBA team, right? Like they are. But not all NBA teams are in sync. And it was very obvious that the Pelicans were not in sync. And, at one point, I think going into the fourth quarter, the Lakers were losing. So I know they won the game. I guess you get out of it and say we won the basketball game. But there was a couple moments in that basketball game last night where I was just like, geez, this Lakers team just needs a lot of help.
Welcome to my world this entire season.
Yeah.
They beat the Kings the other night, and then they get to play the Pelicans. So what the Lakers do is they feast more or less off of the bottom dweller teams, and they struggle against the really good teams. And on a given night, a bottom dweller might beat them just because they have young legs. The Lakers team it's a weird roster construction because a lot is made of Austin Reeves and LeBron and Luka, and that trio. That trio really doesn't really necessarily fit well. And somebody said a great line, and I think it's true. LeBron James, right now in his career, is a guest in his own house. That's true. I think they're not a bad team because of LeBron, but to build the roster around a player like Luka because of his skill sets and what he does well, you have to actually move LeBron. It's not LeBron can't play at a high level or he doesn't have value. He's almost in the way by default. And I think that things won't get right or they won't be have a real direction until they move on from him.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'll even take it a step further. Last night, the Lakers had 21 turnovers. Between the big three of LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, do you want to take a guess on how many those three had combined?
21 turnovers, 20.
17 of their 21 turnovers were between their best 3 players. Luka also got teed up. I'm not, and maybe I'm making more out of this than what I should. Have you not watched the way Luka speaks to primarily the female officials? Am I the only one that sees that? Like he is. All right. So let me just be clear. Luka was 100% right in what he was arguing about. And if you don't know, and if you're just listening to the show, Luka was shooting 2 free throws. On the first free throw, you have no reason to move. But some people will like make a jerky motion, but not step into the lane. They try to throw off the free throw.
Right.
That's not what happened last night. A guy jumped into the lane intentionally with a jerky motion mid Luka free throw. Luka misses the free throw. He immediately argues it and he starts screaming at the female official. Proceeds to make the second free throw and then turns to the male official and goes, I don't know what he said, but he got teed up immediately for it. Number one, I think Luka was 100% right to argue it. But number two, I've seen a pattern with Luka and the way he speaks to female officials. And you watch a lot more Laker games than I do. Do you think it's just all officials? I'm sure I know he speaks, complains to all of them. But is there not something there, what I'm saying? Do you see that, or has that ever stood out to you?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure I see that. I think I'm so numb to Luka complaining to officials that I didn't notice it, because I always bring up the point that Luka's complaining about calls at the opening tip. So
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. But he is by far the whiniest. And there's been a lot of whining superstars, but he whines so much. It's annoying. And a lot of times while he's whining, the action is still going on without him. So look, I didn't notice that, but I'm not saying that you're wrong. But the only thing I noticed for sure is he's always whining throughout the game.
I do want to move on from the Lakers. I do have another topic I didn't get a chance to talk about. This happened actually 2 nights ago, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. And if you guys talked about it yesterday, just, I apologize. I didn't get a chance to catch up. But did you see Trae Young getting ejected from the sideline in the Wizards game?
Yeah, I caught that.
What were your thoughts on that?
Look, it's a weird situation for Trae Young. I felt like he wanted to get tossed, honestly. Just it was just a weird situation. And I thought that going to a new place, the first thing you would want to show is, never mind what you do on the floor, is that you could be a leader or a veteran or one of the guys that the younger guys could lean in on. And I don't know, that was an example of you're not really a leader, or at least not yet. So it should have happened. I thought the refs did the right thing. I think he should have got tossed, but I don't know. It's much to do about nothing to me.
I'm gonna play the video. I have a different opinion than you do, and that's okay. That's why we do this show. But I'm gonna play the video, and I'm gonna, just see if we can get I love this, by the way. I'm just
for running on the court, and he's been ejected.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What did he do? What did Jameer do
Let's
right
take
there?
a look at it right there.
Oh,
There's
he's already
the
been
first
kicked out right there. First of all, if we going back to the film, he's already been gone. And now we're going to let him do it again. You got Bilal having to get in between him to stop
play
it.
peacemaker.
And then he pushed him again. Jameer has done nothing. Nothing. That's horse manure.
We have a
so Mo, I actually view this differently than you do. I think that's a sign of leadership of a guy that's taken over a Wizards team that is not allowing his young player to get pushed around on the basketball court. I don't know what the officials were watching. He gets 2 arms shoved onto the ground during the play, and no foul is called. And it's in the midst of the play. He gets 2 arms shoved. Then a Wizards player is getting in between the Wizards player. I was so baffled by this situation. And then there's no foul called at all. He gets shoved again a second time. And Trae Young's like, guys, what are you watching? I loved it. And for a Wizards team that's not going to win, I don't care if they give up a technical free throw. I think, I'll liken it to something that happened in Philadelphia. And if anybody's listening, you'll remember this play. Nick Foles got absolutely lambasted on the sideline in a Washington Commanders game. And Jason Peters came all the way across the field and just started a fight and got ejected from the football game. And then he got the nickname the Bodyguard for years in Philadelphia. I think that what they did, what he did in that game, was a true sign of him ready to take leadership of that team. And I'm not a Trae Young fan. I'm not by any means. I don't think he plays winning basketball. But I love that.
I don't know. Like I said, he wasn't playing, and it's not like he doesn't know the rules. you know if you come off the bench, whether you're playing or not, you know automatically how that's going to end. So
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not saying he's not right and why he complained. The calls are blatant. I don't know what the officials are looking at either, but he was wrong stepping off the court. As soon as you step on the court, it's over, no matter what. I would have said it was more of an example of leadership if he was actually playing and he was on the bench and he was calling out something because he was competing with those guys, but he's not even playing. And the plan, from what I'm told, is he's not going to play at all the rest of the season. So
I actually think he's going to play.
If he's going to be a bystander, like I said, I don't know if Trae Young's a leader or not, but I hope that he can become one in Washington, because that's really what that young core is lacking. They're lacking a leader. More importantly, in his case, not just a leader, but a guy that's an all-star caliber player who can be a leader.
Trae Young's actually going to make his debut tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah. That was just announced, and I know that's just happened, but if I'm in that locker room and I'm a player on that team and I'm Trae Young or I'm anybody else, Trae Young's the smallest guy. I don't know. Somebody's got to get in one of those guys' faces and be like, you cannot allow your teammate. Trae Young should not have to come off the bench to argue and fight for one of your teammates getting shoved onto the ground. Like, that's a Bub Carrington role. Do you understand? That's not a Trae Young needs to come off the bench to do this. And honestly, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But yeah, I get it. I understand your point, but just wanted to kind of see where you were at on that. All right. Couple things happened recently, and I want to, I guess, address them, one at a time. We'll start with the NFL. The Chargers have officially cut Mekhi Becton 1 year after signing him to a 3-year, $20 million contract. Mekhi Becton was the right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles during their Super Bowl run. He, this is a maligned guy that was a Jets top draft pick that was didn't do well, came to Philadelphia, found a home, absolutely killed it, went to LA and just couldn't find a spot, and never got along with Harbaugh, criticized him in the media. He's back to being a free agent. Do you think Mekhi Becton, and I know that we're talking about interior offensive line here, was more of a product of a great coach with Jeff Stoutland, offensive line coach in Philadelphia, and still a bust? Or do you think there's still, I guess, things there for a team to be able to sign him this offseason?
I think it's a little bit of both. I would say that there's definitely going to be a lot of teams interested in signing Mekhi Becton, because we've seen him play good football. That tape, that film is out there to watch. So it didn't work out with the Chargers. I get that. But look, the right offensive line coach, the right scheme, if he's healthy, he can still play good football. So I think there's no question his career is far from done. It's really just about finding the right fit and the right system.
Absolutely. And I bring that up to get into the NFL gently, because the next one, I guess, I don't want to say shocked anyone, but the next one, a little different. Kyler Murray was released from the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, or he was told he's going to be released the first day they can be released. I'm going to give you 3 options, Mo. Number 1, he signs with a team and starts this year. Number 2, he signs with a team and doesn't start this year. Or number 3, a lot of talk, he goes back to playing baseball. He was drafted by the Oakland Athletics. Very highly touted, baseball player. Well, what do you think the most likely scenario for Kyler Murray is?
It's funny you said that, because on yesterday's show I said he probably will go back to baseball. And I said that tongue in cheek, but I know that he was a highly touted prospect. So, you know what I mean? Like, if there's still interest, maybe he would consider it. But in all likelihood, my guess is he's going to be starting on some NFL team next season. Look, you say this more than anybody else. You're not a big fan of JJ McCarthy, right? Like, I'm just being real. I'm not a huge Kyler Murray fan, but he can just walk right in and be a ginormous upgrade, right? Just from the jump. You don't think Jay Jettison Company will be happy? Absolutely, they're going to be happy. I don't know if that's what Minnesota's going to do, but they have to be considering it. So I there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a starting quarterback next season.
The three quarterbacks that were linked to Minnesota this offseason were Geno Smith, the return of Kirk Cousins, and Kyler Murray, along with JJ McCarthy. If you have those four, Kyler Murray is an absolute filet mignon, medium, like literally out of the four of them, like
right.
What meal are you eating? Like,
right.
That I put Kyler with Jettas, Jordan Addison. I think Kyler goes to the Vikings. I really do. I think him with Kevin O'Connell, it makes them a scary team. Kyler, I'm not a big fan of Kyler anymore either. Used to be a huge K1 fan. If you didn't know, now you know. I used to be a huge Kyler fan until I watched his antics on the field. I watched his immaturity. I've read between the language of him being like, why would you put that language in a contract? You can't play Call of Duty while you're studying your film. Like, why would that language ever be in a contract? It didn't say that specifically, but basically they had to have monitored film study, and he couldn't be doing anything else but film study during that time. That language was in his contract, Mo. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, but I think that says so much about him in terms of his maturity or lack thereof that they had to put that kind of language in there. Like, when your franchise quarterback has to be chaperoned and watched to make sure he studies or gets into his playbook, that's a problem. And that would be my only hesitation if I'm Minnesota. I need to reach out to him. We need to have a conversation, but I need to know where his head is at. Like, because this is not just a great opportunity for the Vikings. This is a great opportunity for Kyler Murray to resurrect his career. Minnesota's built to win right now. They're built to win right now. He can step right into that. And with the OC and the quarterback coach they have, they will bring out the best in him. It's just a matter of where his head's at.
Kyler to the Jets, Kyler to the Vikings. Malik Willis is going to sign one of those teams also. You can already book that. He's going to sign a nice contract this offseason. But I think Kyler ends up in Minnesota. I really believe that. I do want to move forward. I do see a comment by Anthony, and I hope you're still here, Anthony. I wanted to get to this. I think yesterday's or this morning's transition tag that was tied to Daniel Jones puts an arrest to this. Riley Leonard and Daniel Jones will be the two quarterbacks in Indianapolis next week. I don't know where Kirk Cousins lands. I don't know if he lands anywhere. My mind tells me him being a backup quarterback in Minnesota is probably the best spot for him, but you can't back him up behind Kyler, and you already kind of made a plan to move on from JJ McCarthy. So I don't know where Kirk Cousins lands specifically, but I think with the Colts coming out and putting the transition tag on Daniel Jones, it lets you know that they have no thoughts of signing Kirk Cousins. Mo, any thoughts on where Kirk Cousins lands up?
No, I think you hit it. I think Kurt starts the season out. He'll be on a team, but I think he'll start the season out as a backup. Which, by the way, at this stage of his career, that's not a bad spot for him, because should your starter go down, Kirk Cousins can absolutely fill in and win you a couple of games here or there. But I think he will start the season out as a backup.
I completely agree with you. And then Anthony also has, so you have no concern about Daniel Jones' injury. I do, but you have Riley Leonard there. And Riley Leonard played decent quarterback for them. And I think that he's a good young quarterback that can start the year for them if Daniel Jones is not fully healthy. The next NFL topic we have is David Montgomery. This seemed to happen really fast. David Montgomery, aka Knuckles for the Detroit Lions, was traded to the Houston Texans. I heard a report David Montgomery wants to be traded. And then the next morning, I heard David Montgomery was traded. That is the fastest report of a trade asked and trade done I've ever seen in my life. And I actually think it's a good fit. He got traded to the Houston Texans.
Agreed.
You want to talk about a guy that's a professional, that's going to go in and get you hard-nosed yardage. And you can easily put him back there with Woody Marks and create your own little thunder and lightning situation with Woody Marks and David Montgomery. And then you can shore up that offensive line without investing that much money into the running back position. I love that move for both teams. Jahmyr Gibbs needs to be the solo back. You can't have a second premier back behind one of the best running backs in football. He outgrew that, right? He outgrew the splitting carries thing. He outgrew the 70-30 thing. Jahmyr Gibbs is premier. He's Bijan, right? But for Houston, you get a pro's pro that knows how to pass block, understands pass rush, and can get you hard-nosed running backs. Hard-nosed running yards, rushing yards. Jesus. This coffee needs to kick in already, Mo. Your thoughts on the trade?
I think it's a great trade for the Texans. I think David Montgomery, as your feature back, I think David Montgomery is a 1,200-yard running back.
Yeah.
So I think he gives them a consistent running threat. If they shore up that offensive line, David Montgomery is a great one-cut running back. So he can get you the in between the tackle yards, but he's deceptively fast. He can break off a long run here and there. So I think that upgrades their running back room. My guess is that with the addition of David Montgomery, they're probably going to move on from the veteran Nick Chubb, who Nick Chubb was a great player. Let's just all say he was a great player. Then the injuries caught up to him. When you're a running back, though, and you lose that burst or the ability to cut like that, it changes who you are. He came back and tried to, he just wasn't the same player. This is going to be a huge upgrade, not just for the Texans, but for C.J. Stroud to have a strong run game that he can lean on. I think that makes him a better quarterback. So it's a great move for the Texans.
You're absolutely right, Anthony. They definitely have an offensive line problem. They've had an offensive line problem for years.
Right.
And that's what I need them to address in free agency in the draft. But by acquiring David Montgomery on the low and not having to pay a premier running back, you allow yourself more money to invest into that offensive line. And you don't have to use a draft capital on drafting a running back when you have David Montgomery. David Montgomery is a good running back. The problem with him is he waits too long to find a hole. I disagree completely. I think David Montgomery is a guy that puts his head down, gets you 3-4 yards almost all the time. He's a tough, hard-nosed running back. He's a great goal line back, and he's a perfect complement for Woody Marks. Joe Mixon's not going to play football again. I think he's done. So I don't agree with that at all, Damon. Any other NFL comments that you want to bring up right now? Because I do want to get into another topic, but there's just so much. Like the Jets. Did you see the Jets place the franchise tag on Breece Hall? Like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Why? Why are we doing that?
That's the Jets being the Jets. And I've heard people go, well, they got Breece right where they want him. I'm like, yeah, he's not going to go anywhere. But why would you use the franchise tag? I didn't get that. I didn't understand that way of thinking. They have so many other concerns. That's not the way I would have went.
It's insane to me. I mean,
yeah,
good running back, but like you're going to have another new quarterback this year. You have listen. Isaiah Davis played very well, and Braylon Allen is a good running back. You have guys that can run in that backfield. The Jets have millions of issues. Paying a running back $14 million is probably not something I would do. Do you consider Breece Hall top 5 running back in the league?
I don't. I think that
I don't either.
I think he's a good running back, but he's not a top 5 running back.
But now you're paying him like that for 1 year. And every player that plays on the franchise tag, especially running backs, I do not mind at all when they go, back's a little sore this week.
Right. Right.
I'm not doing that. If you're a franchise quarterback of a team, you're making $38 million on the franchise tag. Okay. You should be playing through a lot. If you're a running back and the shelf life of running backs are so short, I don't know, man. Maybe his back's bothering him today. I don't like that at all for the Jets. I think it's terrible. I also think that Breece Hall was absolutely one of the guys that could have got signed to the Kansas City Chiefs to be their starting running back if they don't draft Jeremiah Love. I think Love ends up going higher than where the Chiefs draft him at this point. I think that Breece would have landed on the Chiefs, but that's just my opinion.
No, we're in the same way of thinking on this one. I thought Breece Hall was going to end up a free agent and that he would be on the Chiefs, which would have been a great fit for him. And you're right about Love. The Chiefs are not going to move up to go get, like, he's going to be gone before they can get him. You're right. The Jets have a million problems. I don't understand that way of thinking. You're right. New quarterback, new system. Again, this is a constant thing with the Jets. And who's going to be the new quarterback?
We'll see. I mean, Malik Willis is the name that I hear the most that's linked to the Jets. Just my personal opinion. That's where I think he ends up. I think Malik needs but I see the Jets are not the spot where I wouldn't want to revitalize my career. I don't know why you leave Matt LaFleur at that point.
Well, that's the thing.
Just stay backing up. Let me play 1 year under Jordan Love until I find the right situation.
I think Malik Willis has grown as a quarterback.
100%.
Grown as a football player. But he's the kind of player that he can excel at in a certain system. If I'm him, like you just said, I want to start. But if the option is going to the Jets, I think I'll stay where I'm at for another year.
I'm going to warn anybody that does a bracket. We're going to move off the NFL. I'm going to warn anybody that does a bracket to stay far away from Kansas. Have you, I'm not sure how much into college you are, Mo, and I know you keep up with some of the top prospects, but the number one projected pick in the draft is Darren Peterson of the Kansas Jayhawks. And I would avoid that man like the plague. I would avoid him like the plague. I don't want him. I don't care if he's the most talented player in the draft. I don't care how good he could be. I don't want him. I've watched Kansas play so uninspired basketball, and I'll take it a step further, right? Peterson is checked himself out of basketball games multiple times this year. Now, he hasn't done it since the report came out where he checked himself out of the game. He did the Anthony Richardson. He's like, but last night he was 3 of 18 versus Arizona State, and they lost to Arizona State at home. Have you kept up with Darren Peterson at all?
I have, and he's an incredible talent. But to me, just seeing how he's been since he's been with Kansas, that would be a red flag for me.
100%.
It's an attitude problem. It's a lack of maturity or a lack of accountability. Whatever it is, I would not be comfortable. I don't care how talented he is. Something's not right in the way that he approaches the game. You shouldn't be making business decisions in college, and he's already making business decisions. And Bill Self is like one of the most respected coaches in college basketball.
100%. And
this kid does whatever he wants and checks himself in and out of games, totally disregarding or disrespecting Bill Self. I'm not going to deny his talent, but being talented doesn't mean you're going to be great. It just means you're talented. His attitude would be my concern. I wouldn't draft him. I'd walk away from that.
So you have the top pick in the draft, Mo. I want to play a game of Darren Peterson or. Can we do that for a minute?
For sure.
All right. So you have the top pick in the draft, and I respect your basketball opinion probably more than anyone's. You and Brett are just incredible. You would have to be an alum to pick Kansas to go. Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm going to get into my picks a little bit later of teams I think that are going to go pretty far, but I want to do this Darren Peterson thing with Mo because I got him here. And anytime you can get some knowledge off the man that knows better, you got to Mo better. So I think the first one's easy, especially based on our conversation. But I'm going to ask because I'm going to ask you, Darren Peterson or Carlos Boozer's son, Cameron Boozer.
I'm going with Cameron Boozer.
100%.
Yeah,
the
that
way
was
he played for Duke this year, like inspired basketball.
right.
All right. The next one I think is easy also. The leading scorer in college basketball, AJ Diabate. I can't say his last name. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I chop it up
BYU.
too. Yeah, I would take him too. I try to pronounce it Debancy, but I probably got it wrong too. But yes, I would take him too.
Yeah. Dibansa.
Right.
I gotta listen to it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. I probably would take Peterson over. I think Caleb Wilson, I could be dead wrong on Caleb Wilson, right? I was dead wrong on Jason Tatum. I want to make that very clear. I thought he was a tweener. I thought he was a really good college kid that wouldn't translate to the NBA. Dead wrong. I've been wrong before. I've been right before. I'd see Caleb Wilson as that type of tweener that 22-10 in college translates to 16-5 in the pros, in my opinion.
That's a good basketball player, though, right? Everybody can't be a franchise player, so I still think that's a really good basketball player. I think everybody you mentioned are gonna all be really good at the next level. The guy that I like, I'm talking about just attitude wise, is Boozer. He's got the attitude, the talent, high basketball IQ. And his dad was a really good player. Now, his dad wasn't a lottery pick. I think Carlos Boozer was drafted like in the second round. He was an offensive player, right? He could score the ball, but he wasn't going to play much defense. But I think Cameron Boozer can be better than his dad because he already has more range. He can already shoot the three, can put the ball on the floor a little bit, and he competes on defense already at a young age. So he's going to be a better basketball player than his pops.
The last two I have, and I'm sure you watch both of these guys play, is Kingston Flemings, which I love the way he plays basketball, from Houston, their point guard. Would you take him or Darren Peterson?
I still think I probably would take Peterson. I like everything about I like everything about Fleming, but I think Peterson is going to be a better player.
Do you know who Kingston Flemings reminds me of the most? It's Jeremiah Fears. Almost very, very similar player. Obviously, he's got a little bit more size than Fears does. He's 6'4". I think Fears is like 6'1" or 6'2".
Right.
But I think that they're very similar play style. I think the ceiling, though, for Kingston Flemings is Jalen Brunson. That's the absolute ceiling. I just see that style of player. And it took Jalen Brunson a lot of hard work to develop that. And he also went to a blue chip program like Villanova for years and played under Jay Wright. A lot of people don't realize Jalen Brunson's an older player at this point because he played 4 years in college. He didn't just come out. He played 4 years under Jay Wright, who is one of the best college coaches at developing talent. Look at all his guys in the NBA. Like all those guys, they overperform what they were projected to do. Mikal Bridges was picked 14th. He's overperformed his draft spot. Josh Hart was picked late in this first round, maybe early second. He's overperformed his draft stock. Dante DiVincenzo was a second rounder. He's overperformed his draft stock. Guys that come out of Villanova always do that because they're coached the right work ethic wise. But I think that's Kingston Fleming's ceiling. Now, the last one is probably the most notable player that hasn't been named. And I think the kid's a stud. And I'm a very big fan of him. And if you watch Tennessee basketball recently, Nate Ament has been that dude. Right? He's been great for them recently. Would you take Nate Ament or Darren Peterson? Now, Ament has had his own, I don't want to say off the court issues, but like he's become more of a celebrity than a basketball player really quick in life.
I probably would still take Peterson.
That's fair.
Here's the thing about Peterson. We talk a lot about the floor and the ceiling. Peterson's ceiling is almost through the roof. That doesn't mean he's going to reach his ceiling, but that he has that kind of ceiling. With Peterson, so much is going to be dependent on who drafts him, what kind of structure they have, because you have to have a leadership group around him that he respects enough that he'll listen to them and buy into that program. Because if not, you're going to have a guy you draft as a rookie that's a prima donna that's going to be tearing up your locker room.
How many teams do you think can win the national championship this year, Mo?
You know what? My approach to March Madness has always been this. There's the blue bloods, the big name schools, and then there's those little schools that come out of nowhere. I would say this season, every year, I would think there's at least 10 teams that probably can win the national championship, because there's the teams that we know are going to be number one in their region, and there's the teams that come out of nowhere to upset those number ones. So you never know. That's the beauty of March Madness. For me, it's very similar to postseason baseball. Like, there's regular season baseball, but postseason baseball, it's just different. It's completely different. And I can watch postseason baseball all day, every day. I can watch March Madness and not be shocked by an outcome because it happens so often.
So I hear you when you say that. In my opinion, right? I do want to answer Reed's question first. What do you like about Immense Game? I'm not saying he's Kevin Durant, but he looks a lot like Brandon Ingram in the way he can get to a shot at any level, right? I think he's a 3-level scorer. I think the kid can absolutely get to that. Like, at 6'10", to have that type of, I guess, well, I'm trying to think of the right word to use for it, but he's smooth, right? Like, being a wing that has, like, I guess he looks to me like a better version of what Ace Bailey is, right? Like, and I think that he has that, I guess, the ability to create his own shot and be like a Brandon Ingram type player. So I think can be really good. And I think I don't think Brandon Ingram developed the way he should have. I think he's starting to play the way a lot of people thought he would when he got drafted. I think the LeBron thing hurt the growth of Brandon Ingram more than anything. But and then going to New Orleans, which is a goddamn graveyard for good basketball players. I think that Nate Ament can be Brandon Ingram plus. So that's what I like about him. He's also super young. And it's 6'10" to be able to get your shot. Like, once again, not Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant-like. So
no, I actually like the Brandon Ingram comparison. I can actually see that.
I do want to so you said, I know March is crazy, right? Mo, I know March is crazy. But this year, and I'll tell you, I'll give you anybody that does a bracket. And if I'm wrong, you can send me a Venmo request for 10 or 20 bucks, and I might pay it for your bracket. If I'm wrong, you might stay away from the Cinderella. The transfer portal and the NIL has killed the Cinderella. They're dead. Stay away from the Cinderella. There are multiple teams, just 5, 6, 7 maybe, that can win the national championship. That's it. That's it. No other teams, in my opinion, can win the national championship other than these 7 basketball teams. And I'm going to read them to you. And Mo, if you disagree or agree, that's fine. Let me know. Or if there's a team you'd like to add, no problem. I might add an 8th team because I think they're a nice little dark horse. But Duke is obvious. Arizona, obvious. Michigan, obvious. We don't have to argue about those. They're the obvious ones. Anytime Dan Hurley has a team that's won 27 games, I have to put them in that conversation. So UConn is my 4. Florida, one of my preseason picks, who started off the season like 4-2, has won like 23 of their next 25 games. And they are an obvious one to me. Houston is my 6th. Iowa State, and man, I can't pass this up because I love it. Iowa State and Houston are, I guess, 6, 7, but Purdue, I will never give up on Purdue when you have Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn in the tournament. I'll tell you what Purdue has to avoid. they have to call up the NBA or sorry, the NCAA selection committee and make sure they're on the wrong side of the bracket as Michigan, because Michigan they're not a good matchup for Michigan or Arizona. So you can't, if you're Purdue, you just got to avoid Michigan and Arizona. Those two teams have too much size that will absolutely deplete Purdue. But when you have a fifth-year senior in Braden Smith that can play serious basketball in a tournament, I would trust him. Trey Kaufman-Renn has all the ability to be one of the best players in the tournament. Those are that's, and then if you want a flyer, if you want a team that's an absolute flyer, not a top 25 team, like a Cinderella team, I think they're 19th, actually. Look at Arkansas. Look at Arkansas as a team that can make a deep run into this tournament. They play the same style of basketball as Alabama does. They got Darius Akuff, absolutely can score the basketball. They have 4 or 5 guys that can shoot it. They run up and down the court. I love the way they play basketball. They can win in the tournament. Any team you disagree with, agree with, any team that you would add, subtract, I'd love to hear your opinion, Mo.
No, I like everybody you put out there. Look, if I was going to select one team to win it all, even though I wouldn't say they're the outright favorites, it would be UConn.
Ooh, I you were going to say Buki.
Yeah, it would be UConn because like Izzo, Bob Hurley, there's teams that are built for March Madness. He's a coach that's built for March Madness. He knows how to he can raise his team's level of play, their execution, their intensity. Like, he has a great pulse of his team year in and year out. He's the Jim Harbaugh of college basketball in a lot of ways. Like, he's that kind of coach. I think he's a crazy genius in certain ways, very emotional, but at the same time, he's very strategic, very smart, breaks down film. There are more talented teams, but I think UConn, because of Hurley, because of their system, they're always a threat.
It's funny. You compare Hurley to Harbaugh. I compare him to Cignetti of Indiana. I think that the way I've never heard coaches go in press conferences, I'm the best in the world, like Cignetti and Hurley do. And they both remember Cignetti's press conference at Indiana. They were like, "Oh, you're Indiana. Like, do you think that you can compete with some of these teams?" And this was last year when they got the shit kicked out of them when they were a year early. And he goes, "Google me."
Right.
I win. Hurley has that same type of aura to him.
He does.
Damien asked, what March Madness happening and the WNBA draft around the corner, do you think the WNBA is not having a season this year? And it's sad. They won't have a season this year. I'm sorry. They will not have a season this year. And it's sad because I think Unrivaled and the fact that there's a conflict of interest with Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, who are both spearheading the WNBA talks for money.
Right.
I'm not saying that they're wrong for what they're asking for. I think when you have a rival league owners arguing on behalf of a lockout, it's a conflict of interest. And I don't think they're wrong. I think they have no motivation to get a deal done. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And I would say this. I would hope that Nafisa Collier and Stu would come up with have some proxies to do the negotiations, so it doesn't seem that there's a conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that they want to spearhead it, but because of them running a rival league, I think for the negotiations, they need to step aside and have 2 other people as proxies do the negotiating.
I couldn't agree with you more. Do want to talk, we got 3 minutes left. I know you're not that big of a baseball fan, but I do want to ask you I'm locked into the World Baseball Classic. We're having a World Baseball Classic party Friday night.
Oh, wow.
You got the United States, the Dominicans, and the Japanese all playing the same night within 3 hours of each other. I'm locked into the World Baseball Classic. And if you look at I think we're on a crash course for the United States versus the Dominicans. The lineups, the pitching staff is absolutely insane. For Team USA to have Tariq Skubal and Paul Skeens as their two top pitchers, the best two pitchers in baseball, the Cy Youngs in both leagues. The lineups are batty. Like the Dominican lineup versus the American lineup, I think the Dominican lineup is actually better. I watched the United, and a lot of these teams are playing exhibition games versus MLB teams right now. So, for instance, the United States baseball team played the San Francisco Giants yesterday, and Gunnar Henderson is pinch hitting in the 6th inning, coming off the bench, smashing doubles off the fence. Gunnar Henderson, pinch hitting. The Phillies play the Canadians today. I'll be interested to see how that goes. Canada doesn't have a bad baseball team. But the Classic starts today, technically, in some pool play outside of the world. Really, the big day is Friday. A couple pool play games tomorrow, but Friday it starts. Do you have any interest in the World Baseball Classic, Mo? I am just tickled pink.
I can hear it in your voice. So will I be watching it? Yeah, I'm going to check in because it's Team USA. They're representing the country, so I'm always going to check in on them. But am I going to watch it overall? Probably not. But I enjoy watching our country compete against other countries. That's the exciting part about it. I thought I got a little laugh out of them showing Aaron Judge's like speech to the team. It was probably the most uninspiring speech ever, but I know he meant it in a different way. He tried to sound Fields of Dream like, but he just came across like really boring.
I watched them play yesterday, and for them to have a lineup like they have, like I'm going to read you this lineup just for shits and giggles. I just need you to hear the lineup because it was so much fun to watch. Bobby Witt Jr. is your leadoff hitter. You follow that up with Bryce Harper, who's protected by Aaron Judge, who's protected by 50 home run hitter Kyle Schwarber. Then you have the big dumper Cal Riley. Bregman, who hit a bomb yesterday. Roman Anthony hit a ball 500 feet. Pete Crow Armstrong and Bryce Terang is your 8-9. That's their lineup. Like, that lineup is silly, and the Dominicans have a better lineup.
That's what's sick.
I'm going to read it to you real quick. The Dominican Republic projected lineup, and then we'll finish up. But I'm not kidding with you, man. When you hear this lineup, it's just so insane. This is just absolutely insane. Let me get the projected lineup. Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, Ketel Marte, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Junior Caminero, Manny Machado, Julio Rodriguez, Perdomo, and Agustin Ramirez are their 8-9. I have to watch that. I have to watch that.
I mean, there it is right there. I think it comes down to Team USA versus Dominicans, right? So that's going to be it when it's all said and done.
The Japanese do not have as good of a team as they had the last Classic. So I don't have faith in them. And Damian, I hear what you're saying in the comments. I do. We try to keep this network all sports related.
Yeah.
I get you, dude. 100%. Don't think that your opinion is wrong. But we try to keep everything on this network very sports related only.
But I feel you, Damian. But yeah.
Same. That's our time today. I appreciate everybody hopping in the chat. You guys were bumping this morning. I appreciate you guys. Mo, any final comments?
Nah, man, it was just fun to be back on. I haven't been back on with you in a minute, Genius. So it's been a minute. Thank you, chat, for the energy, all the great questions and comments. We appreciate that. You guys keep us going.
Mo, it's always fun hopping on with you. Life has been a lot. I'm basically full-time job, obviously. Then I have a second full-time job that I started with Wire to Wire Breaks, and that has been incredible. One of my biggest passions in life. We're doing great. We're doing really well.
Yeah.
We're less than 1 month in. We have over 1,000 items sold, 165 star reviews, and I appreciate the support. If you know anybody that's in the sports cards, baseball, football, whatever, send them over to Whatnot, Wire to Wire Breaks. We do a ton, but we'll be live tonight. Well, actually, we're gonna do a break in about an hour on Whatnot. But Wire to Wire Sports Podcast will be back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with myself, Cottrell, and Uncle Shally. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the morning show. Mo, close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Take care, y'all. See you tomorrow or tonight.